Happy you're here. So guys, today I have as my wonderful guest, new friend and fellow blogger, Grace Khoury of Discovering with Grace. So we're gonna learn all about her blog, Discovering with Grace, which I highly suggest you go check out. And we're gonna talk about the world of blogging and how you can get started. And we're gonna answer some questions that some of you have sent in about starting your own blog. So welcome. Welcome, Grace.
I'm
How are you
good.
doing?
Thank you, Dana. I mean, like we're friends, newly friends, but we're friends. And
We're
exactly.
friends, but we're friends
So
now.
I'm looking forward to our discussion and, like sharing the knowledge that I have with anyone and everyone who is interested.
Perfect. So for those who don't know Discovering with Grace, what's your blog about? What are we discovering?
So Discovering with Grace is, or the angle that I want it to be, is a weekend guide. So it's all about planning a day trip, planning a getaway for the weekend, or, looking for some seasonal activities, some activities to do in the weekend, adventures such as hiking or kayaking or anything. So technically, Discovering with Grace is where you would go to get inspired to plan your weekend.
It's kind of like a timeout, but it's your own
Exactly. It's
timeout,
from
right?
my own
Of like
perspective.
cool
So
things to
anything
do.
that I have tried and that I love or that I enjoyed, this is what I would share on my personal blog.
Okay. And so it's everything that's weekend trips, day trips, everything around Montreal and the surrounding area, or does it expand a little
For
bit
the
more than
moment, I'm
that?
focusing on Canadian content. I am based in Montreal, so and most of my trips, or let's say, weekend getaways, are within Quebec or Canada. So this is basically the main focus for the time being.
Okay. Perfect. Before I move on to my next question, I see we have someone that put something in the, oh, perfect. Carol is asking, what pushed you to take the first step? And that was actually my next question. So thank you, Carol, for that. You moved recently from Beirut to Canada a few years ago. So what was the inspiration for Discovering with Grace? What pushed you to actually start?
Okay, so that's going to be, I'm going to talk about it, but I've had the will or the idea to create a blog a few years ago when I was living in Lebanon, but I didn't go for it for a reason or another. I dismissed the idea. Then when I moved here, honestly, the idea didn't cross my mind up until a year ago. So a year ago, I was going through a kind of a rough patch where I was starting to question everything, and I was starting to look for something that would bring me joy as a person. So exactly. So I sat down and took a piece of paper and had two columns on there. One which would represent the things that would bring me joy or things that I'm passionate about, and the second column would be the things that I'm good at. So on the first part, I wrote down that I love discovering new places. I love traveling or enjoying my weekend. I mean, it's been 3.5 years that I've been in Canada, and I've been to 4 different provinces. So I'm not the kind of person who would just sit down and sit around. So
I think Quebec and like Canada in general more than a lot of Canadians who live here their whole lives. That is for sure.
But I mean, I love discovering and checking out, exploring new places. And on the second column, which the things I'm good at, is basically marketing, because that's what I do for a living. So I thought it was
So your day-to-day job, just for people who don't know, your day-to-day job, you're in marketing, you're social media
I'm a
specialist.
marketing manager for a consulting firm. So it's basically what I know and what I'm good at. So I decided to combine both and do something that I'm passionate about that would bring me joy, and hence Discovering with Grace. This is where the idea came from, and it's been a year already that I've been working on my baby, Discovering with Grace.
Discovering with Grace, your baby. So the exercise you did, which actually a lot of people do that, they kind of compare what they're really good at and what they're really passionate about, and they try to see how they can cross-reference that and create something a meaning to their lives, like a blog that you've created, which you're passionate about discovering. You're good at marketing and social media. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to launch
Yes.
a blog. So Discovering with Grace. So for people who don't know, where can they check out your content, your articles? Because you're a lot more than just on Instagram, right? So for those who don't know, where can they check out Discovering with Grace?
On Instagram, obviously. On TikTok, I'm on TikTok as well. And I have my own blog. So www.discoveringwithgrace.com is my personal blog. Yeah.
Discovering.com. Yeah, I discovered a really nice website. So a lot of amazing content. So that's how you came up with the idea. So you're juggling, like you said, a full-time job as a marketing manager, and you're juggling your blog. So what would you say is like a typical day in Grace Khoury's life, juggling both?
I always say I have a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9. So yeah, okay. Once I'm done with my day job, I have like a bit of time just to decompress, to re-energize, and this is where I close my work laptop and I open my Discovering with Grace laptop, and this is where I start working, whether creating content or working on a new blog post or doing some research or web development and maintenance. That's what I do also. So yeah, so the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize it's a lot of work managing a blog, right? It's not just filming a few things and like, hey guys, and it requires editing. It requires, maintenance of a website. It requires many hours of work, and many people don't realize that.
I wished it was that easy, but it does require a lot of work, and there's a lot of research involved. Yeah. But it's fun, honestly. I enjoy it. Yeah.
It's fun. Perfect. For those who are joining now, I'm with Grace Khoury of Discovering with Grace, and we're talking all about her blog and about blogging in general, and how anybody who has an idea and a passion can get started with their own blog. So stay tuned. So okay, so you've been running Discovering with Grace for a year now. I see you're extremely popular on TikTok. I'm super jealous because I don't understand TikTok yet. You get amazing views and lots of interaction. So whoever has not seen you on TikTok, go to TikTok. So what's next for Discovering with Grace? What's like your ultimate goal with your blog? Like, it started because you felt like you had a passion, something you wanted to create like a purpose for your day-to-day. But what would you like to do with Discovering with Grace?
Ultimately, like I want Discovering with Grace to be like the guide for people. Like, if whenever they want to plan a weekend, Discovering with Grace will be their reference. So, and I want to be able to inspire people to, just get and take advantage of their weekend to do something to enjoy it, rather than, just try to re-energize again from, like a heavy week. But I also want to monetize it as well, of course. So it is my side hustle. So ultimately, Discovering with Grace would be a place where I can fuel my or unleash my creativity, but also as well be my side hustle, and I can be monetized. Hopefully, you will be able to monetize it as well.
You can monetize it. And I see Carol had asked the same question. I think Carol, I don't know who she is, but she reads my mind. She had said also, what's next for Discovering with Grace? So I'm pretty impressed. So we were just saying that. So eventually you want your blog, Discovering with Grace, to become a mini business, your own little business. Do you have ideas yet of what kind of products you could put out there for people who already love your content? Or is this something hush-hush?
It's still work in progress, but definitely, you can definitely expect some digital products on there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so stay tuned, everyone. So if you've just joined, I'm talking with Grace Khoury of Discovering with Grace. Check her out on Instagram, TikTok, and on her blog website. We're talking about her blog, and now we're going to talk about, how anyone could basically start a blog. If someone has an idea, a passion, whatever, they can start a blog. And I have a few people from the audience that had sent in some questions. If any of you have questions about getting started with your own blog, feel free to put it in the comments or on the little question mark. We're going to be answering them. So one of the questions I got, and this is really from a follower that sent it, as a newbie to the world of blogging, how can I make sure to be consistent and always creative with my ideas? So I guess this person has a hard time coming up with ideas and a hard time staying also consistent, because consistency
It's
is
all
the name
about
of the game, right?
consistency, honestly. I'm going to start with the consistency part, and then I'll go to the creative part. For the consistency part, honestly, it's you have to figure out the system that works for you. So there's a lot of, you can find a lot of ideas from different creators that would tell you what works for them, but you have to see what works for you. For me, for example,
Yeah.
I would dedicate like one day for all the video editing, and the rest of the rest of the week, I would focus on blog research, on SEO research, and another day on just writing the blog post, and then the following day, I would just go edit and then publish it. A lot of these tasks, honestly, will take a lot of time. So that's what I do. I try to stick to a certain schedule where each day would do a specific task. That way, I'm more consistent and I know what to expect from each day. But
Okay. So scheduling is a good way to make sure that you're consistent with always producing good content and putting it out there. But what if you're feeling one day like, you know what, I mean, we all have those. Like, I'm tired today. I don't feel like it. I had a rough day at work, and I put in my schedule, I'm going to be editing content. I don't feel like it. What do you do?
I sometimes give myself a break because like I have a full-time job, and sometimes it drains my energy. I would, like give myself a break, but honestly, what I think what helps the most is having like a répertoire, I don't know what, like a database,
A
directory or
directory?
database of ideas and content that I can use, so I don't have to brainstorm every single day. So that also helped with the creativity part. So I would just sit like one day and just batch content ideas, and then I would write them on a piece of paper or on an Excel sheet. And then whenever I need to come and film or whenever I need to write, I would have already the ideas are there. So I don't have to, rethink about it or, reiterate my creative process. It's there. I can just get inspired and
You can pick and choose
exactly
that you've already come up with previously. Okay, so for anyone wondering how to be consistent and come up with ideas all the time for a blog, Grace does a lot of scheduling during the week, and she's also has a database of ideas. So she, takes a moment to write down all her ideas for content, and then she can just pick and choose whenever she needs to release content. Carol says planning is key. It definitely is. And something I'll add also as a tip that I do, sometimes you'll get ideas like on the fly, right? You'll see something, you'll be out somewhere. I always have like a note on my iPhone. I use the notes, and I'll be like blog or post ideas, and I'll just add them. So it's kind of like an evolution. It's a list and evolution of creative ideas. So that is the way. Perfect. Another question I got. Okay. If I want to make a career out of a blog, so kind of like what you were talking about, you want to turn a blog into a business, do you think I should start with a website or an Instagram handle?
That's a good one. I'm going to tell you what I did. And I honestly started with both. Both at the same time. Yes.
At the same time.
Both of them are demanding in terms of time, but honestly, like my biggest goal is my website. But I use Instagram as a mean to drive people to my website. So it depends on sorry.
Do you find that works? Do you find Instagram helps to get traffic to your website?
I have a link in my bio that drives some traffic, which is good. And whenever I post a link on the stories, I get traffic as well. So yeah, exactly. So there is some kind of exposure to the blog because, like there's a lot of SEO work that needs to go in terms in order to have a successful blog. So having an Instagram account or a Pinterest account or a TikTok account helps, drive that traffic as well to your website.
For those who don't know what SEO is, just can you summarize in a couple of sentences
Of
for those
course.
who might be wondering, like, what does she mean by
SEO is
SEO?
search engine optimization. So it's any optimization that you do so you can rank on the Google search engine result page. So if you go and research top kayaking places around Montreal, and you see, you know, as a result, discovering with Grace, that means that I've done good SEO. Exactly.
You have good SEO. Okay, so you're saying basically it's hard when you have a blog website to, you know, people just to be researching topics on Google and to just find your website. So you use social media like Instagram as another way to drive traffic for people to go click on your bio to the link and go check out your website. Okay, so you started with both at the same time. But let's say someone is not as, how can I say, courageous as you, and they want to start with just one. Which one would you suggest?
I would say to start with social media, Instagram, but I would strongly recommend that the ultimate goal would be a blog or something that that you own as a platform.
And what do you mean by you own? You mean like we talked about this recently, Grace, and I always go to Grace for advice on my blog. So it's basically the subscriber list, right? You mean the
exactly, it's very important. A website that you have is very important because, as you see, like there are trends with social media. You know, like sometimes today it's Instagram, maybe tomorrow it's TikTok or a third platform that we don't know about. So it's very important that, you know, there's something that you own that doesn't, you know, come and go depending on trends.
Okay. So basically, you know, to answer the question, if you have a blog idea, a topic idea, you can start just with social media, but it's important to eventually have your own website because one social media platform can be there one day, the next they could disappear. You want to own those, own those followers, those people who are following your content, and it's better to have them on your website directly via a subscription list, via an email list. So I want to say hi to Ramona. She joined, Ramona of RM Candy. She was saying hi. So I want to say hi, Ramona. So let me see. We have we have a question by Oliver. How do you juggle and find work-life balance? So we were discussing that just before, right? What was the typical day in Grace Khoury's life? So maybe you want to answer it in a different way. So how do you find balance between your work life, blog, work?
I try not to work during the weekends. Yeah.
Even though all your
it's creative, but I take it as, you know, like it's fun. I'm enjoying my time. I'm having a good time. I'm, you know, like discovering new places, and it's not just work. It's more living my passion. So yeah. So no work during the weekend. Most of the work gets done during the week. That way I can, you know, breathe and, you know, energize.
Energize on the weekend. Okay, perfect. I like that. So for anyone who's thinking of launching a blog or a side hustle, even if you have a full-time job, it's good to, you know, have those moments that you just don't do any work, that you just enjoy. It's a great way that, you know, Grace finds work-life balance. I like that. Perfect. So another question from a follower. If I have an idea for a blog, what's the first thing that I should do? What did you do when you launched your blog? So we kind of went over that with the website and the social media handle, but it would be interesting to say, like, okay, let's say I'm you know, I was just watching now the live, and I've always had a passion for interior design, and you know what, I want to launch my interior design blog. What's the first thing that would come to mind to do?
First thing after you've, you know, like narrowed down the topic or the niche or what is your blog about, is find the name. Find a name, and go and just like register on all the social media platforms with the handle that you want, and go buy that domain. That's the first thing.
Wow, it's really hard to come up with a blog name. How did you come up with
it? It took some brainstorming because it's my personal brand, so I wanted my name to be there. Plus, I wanted to be representative of what I'm gonna do, which is exploring and discovering, and this is how Discovering with Grace came up, and luckily it was available as a domain and as a handle, so I just went in and reserved the whole thing.
You got it on .com, like on the domain. You went on Instagram,
Instagram,
on TikTok, where else?
TikTok, Pinterest, uh, YouTube, and
Pinterest.
yeah, that's it, I think.
Twitter?
I
Or not
couldn't find
Twitter?
the handle on Twitter, believe it or not. It was too long for Twitter.
On
Yeah,
Twitter. Is there a
so I
maximum?
went with a shorter with DWG, the Discovering with Grace. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I like that DWG. Very like cool. Okay, very nice. So for anyone who's wondering, you have an idea for a blog. Grace says first thing you should do, come up with a name and then go like book the domain, book your Instagram handle, your TikTok handle, your YouTube handle, your Pinterest. Even if
Yeah.
you're not gonna like use them, just book them. It's free anyways, except for the domain, obviously, but you pay something minimum like $10, $15, but everything else is free. So go and book your domain names. Super cool. Okay. I don't know if we have any more questions from anyone. Before we wrap it up, for everyone who is joining, we talked about blogging, how to launch your own blog, what's the first thing you should do when you come up with an idea for a blog. And Grace shared how she came up with the idea of Discovering with Grace, which you should totally check out her website, discoveringwithgrace.com, or on Instagram or on TikTok, Discovering with Grace. Amazing content. It'll give you a lot of ideas what to do in Canada. Before we leave, what's the one final piece of advice you would have for anyone who's, you know, always wanted to launch a blog but never actually went for it? That one big piece of advice.
I would say go for it. Don't hesitate. Do your research, make a plan, and go for it. Because like if this is your passion, if this is something that you're passionate about, share it with the world. So don't hesitate.
Oh, perfect. So go for it, everyone. We expect a lot of new blogs to be launched after today's live. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Grace. It was so nice chatting with you as always. And we look forward to many more cool activities and trips that we're going to discover through Discovering with Grace. So you have a lot of pressure on you.
But it's going to be fun.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining.
Bye.
Bye.